Beauty and the Beast. This story took place in a dark, cold castle deep in a forest somewhere in France. But the story began not far from there, in a little village, and in the village lived Bella, a very beautiful young woman who loved to read. She always had her nose in a book. The village laughed at her, even though they liked her. Belle was so different from them. One morning as Belle was walking through the village, she met Gaston. He was very tall and strong and handsome, but couldn't understand why Belle liked to read so much. "Why don't you put down these books and think about marrying me?" Gaston asked Belle. "Oh, Gaston," said Belle, ignoring his question. "May I have my book back, please?" Suddenly a loud explosion boomed from Belle's cottage. "Huh, another of your father's inventions?" sneered Le Fou, Gaston's friend. Belle was relieved to find her father, Maurice, in one piece. He was delighted with his latest invention. That afternoon, Maurice loaded his invention onto a cart, hitched the cart to his patient horse, Philippe, and set off for the fair. "You'll win first prize," Belle called after her father. But Maurice became lost in the woods and was chased from his cart by a pack of wolves. He ran to find shelter behind the gates of the castle, just as the wolves attacked. Breathless, Maurice crossed the gloomy bridge and approached the door of the castle. When no one answered his knock, he stepped cautiously inside. "Hello," he called into the vast, echoing chamber. "Is anyone there?" Maurice picked up a candelabra to light the way. All of a sudden, the candelabra talked. "You are welcome here, monsieur," it said. Maurice was amazed. A clock, teapot, cup, and even a footstool joined the candelabra and warmly welcomed Maurice to the castle. Suddenly, a huge, hulking figure stormed into the room. "A beast! Who allowed you to come in here?" growled a savage voice. Then the beast seized the terrified inventor and carried him to a dungeon, while Cogsworth the clock, Lumineer the candelabra, and Mrs. Potts the teapot watched in horror. In the meantime, Philippe had found his way back to Belle's house. "Philippe," cried Belle, "where's Papa? Has something terrible happened?" "Oh, you must take me to him." Belle gathered her skirt and leaped astride the tired horse, who turned bravely and thundered back toward the dark forest. Eventually, Belle found the castle and made her way inside. "Don't you see, Lumiere?" Lumiere whispered to Cogsworth. "She's the one we've been waiting for, the one who will break the spell." At last, Belle found Maurice in the remote dungeon. "Oh, Papa," she exclaimed, "your hands are freezing. We'll have to get you out of there." Belle turned to see a massive shape in the shadows. "Please," she exclaimed, "let my father out of here. He's sick. He shouldn't have trespassed here," replied the beast. "Then take me instead," demanded Belle. With that, the beast dragged Maurice from the cell and sent him home in a magic carriage. The beast returned to the tower to find Belle crying. "I'll show you to your room," he said gruffly. As Belle followed him, he added, "You can go anywhere you like, except the west wing. That's forbidden." Back in the village, Maurice burst into the tavern, muddy and wide-eyed. "Help!" he cried. "A horrific, monstrous beast has got Belle locked in a dungeon." The others burst out laughing, convinced that the old inventor was crazy. They grabbed Maurice and threw him out the door. At the castle, Belle had been warned not to go into the west wing, but when the others weren't looking, she sped upstairs into the beast's lair. In a dirty room, Belle discovered an enchanted rose growing inside a jar. Belle lifted the jar and reached out to touch the rose. Without warning, the beast leaped into the room. "Why did you come here?" he roared. "Get out!" Terrified, Belle fled outside and raced to the stable for Philippe. They escaped from the castle into the freezing night. Suddenly Philippe snorted in alarm, and Belle saw cruel yellow eyes blazing in the dark. The wolves! Belle seized a sharp stick to defend Philippe. One by one, the wolves closed in on Belle, tearing at her clothes. Out of the darkness, a huge paw snatched one wolf away. The beast! The wolves were no match for the beast's fury. One of them bit his arm before he sent it flying, with a sweep of his great paw. The rest of the wolf pack slunk away. Then the beast staggered and fell to the ground. Belle helped the beast back to the castle, and a special friendship had begun. The next day, Belle and the beast had dinner together. The beast asked, "Belle, are you happy with me?" "If only I could see my father again, just for a moment," Belle answered. "There is a way," said the beast, and he brought out an enchanted mirror. They were shocked to see Maurice lost in the forest, shaking with cold as he searched for Belle. "You must go to him," said the beast. "Take the mirror with you so you'll have a way to look back and remember me." Belle ran to the courtyard and rode away as the beast watched from his balcony. With the help of the mirror, Belle found Maurice and brought him home. He was sick and had a fever, but Le Fou, Gaston's friend, was hiding outside, waiting for their return, and quickly brought the villagers together outside Belle's house. "He's here! Crazy old Maurice is back!" shouted Le Fou. "My father's not crazy," said Belle angrily. "He was raving about a huge beast," said Le Fou, who knew that Gaston planned to have Maurice locked up unless Belle agreed to marry him. Belle ran into the cottage and returned with a mirror. "Show me the beast," she demanded. Gaston seized the mirror from Belle. Furious that his plan had failed, he told the villagers, "The beast will make off with your children. I say we kill the beast." "I won't let you do this," cried Belle. The villagers gathered weapons and torches and marched towards the castle, led by Gaston. On the way, they chopped down a tree to use as a battering ram. After many blows, they crashed through the castle doors. While the villagers battled their way into the castle, Gaston stalked the beast, but the beast turned his back on Gaston, refusing to fight. Gaston pulled a knife from his boot and stabbed the beast in the back. In doing so, Gaston tripped and plunged from the roof. Mortally wounded, the beast fell to the ground. "At least I got to see you one last time," he said to Belle weakly. "No," cried Belle, overcome by tears. She leaned down to kiss him and said, "I love you." Suddenly the rain began to shimmer and sparkle. Belle looked up and saw the air glittering with magic. The big beast began to transform into a handsome young man. "I was a prince once," he said, "but an enchantress transformed me into a hideous beast because I was mean and cruel. But if I learn to love and have someone love me, I will become human again. Please, Belle, will you marry me?" "Yes, oh yes," replied Belle. And just as the beast had transformed into a prince, Lumiere, Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts, and the others also became human again. As the magic carried Belle and the prince into the ballroom, they began to dance. Their love had finally broken the spell. The end.